I am excited to have as our guest once again Amy Nofziger, who is the Director of Victim Support for the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Victim support, people don't even think about AARP having a victim support system or department. But Amy, tell us a little bit about you and what you do as the Director of the Victim Support arm of AARP.
Of course. And thanks for having me again. It's always just a pleasure to talk to everyone, and especially about fraud. So I've been at ARP for 23 years, and the whole time working in the fraud space. Most of my responsibility falls to the after effects of fraud. Certainly, we would love to stop every type of fraud out there. But even with the best intentions, we know criminals are working overtime to steal from us. So we want to make sure for the people who do fall victim to a scam that they have support. So the Fraud Watch Network Victim Support Team manages our Fraud Watch Network helpline, which is a free resource for anyone of any age, and you don't have to be an AARP member to utilize it. You call in, you report a scam if you have questions about a scam, or if you have been a victim. And if you've been a victim of a scam, you are going to be paired up with one of our 150 fraud volunteers across the country who will work one-on-one with you, help you with reporting, help you with emotional support, guidance, and just be that friendly voice there. We also have a victim support group. This is a free peer-to-peer support group online for those who want to connect with other victims of fraud and share their stories.
That's so powerful. 150 different people to support. That means that fraud is alive and well. It means that there are a lot of people who need some support, which is really sad, but it's wonderful to know that ARP is trying to do its best to help provide that kind of support. Why are older adults more subject to be victimized by fraudsters?
There's a lot of reasons why we're all vulnerable to frauds and scams, and let's make that 100% clear before I go any further. We all have targets on our backs, and wherever we are, there's going to be a criminal as well. But older adults hold the majority of wealth in the United States. They have worked hard their whole lives to accumulate a comfortable retirement, paid off their home, paid down debt. And so, of course, the criminals are going to go after the money, just like why criminals rob banks. They go where the money is. But let's be clear, we are all vulnerable and we all have targets on our back. So we all need to learn this information.
And it's important for people to know that because it may allow them to be more comfortable speaking up. Not about age or it's not about anything that they've done, but it's as you said, they go where the money is, and they know that that accumulated wealth is probably going to rest more with older adults. Amy, you've been doing this for such a long time, and we appreciate you so much. How did you get started in this business?
Actually, I've always been interested in crime and justice. I was a criminology, sociology undergrad, and my desire was work in the prison system. And then I did work in the prison system, and I realized that that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so I came upon this new kind of partnership with the Attorney General in Colorado and with AARP to help stop elder financial exploitation in Colorado. And that was in 2001. And I've been at AARP ever since. And look how we've grown this, right? It's just amazing to see the support that AARP gives to everyone, regardless of your membership status. I mean, of course, it is heartbreaking to know we haven't stopped fraud yet, but I do think there are a lot of changes. One thing that people always ask me is, what have I seen change in the last 23 years? And it is certainly that people are reporting it more. And that is so important because we know fraud victims are embarrassed, they're ashamed, and oftentimes it's because of how society treats them. They blame the victim. But these people were victims of a crime, just like if your purse was stolen, and we need to treat them as such. So that's definitely inspiring to me to see how many people are coming forward and sharing their stories.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for your dedication once again to this really, really important issue that impacts, like you said, everyone, every generation. It's been around for a long time, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to put an end to it, but we can certainly minimize it by programs like this, and also by sharing information with other people. So you have been doing this for 23 years. What is the most frequent fraud activity that you're seeing right now? What's the number one fraud activity in the country?
Hmm. I would say it's some sort of an imposter scam. And that could be a business imposter or a government imposter. Business imposter is where someone is emailing you, texting you, calling you, saying that they're a part of a big company, names like Amazon, Microsoft, Dell, eBay, PayPal. And they're saying that they're with that company and there's a problem with your account and they need either remote access into your account or they need some sort of payment to resolve that issue. Also, the government imposter scams where someone will call and say they're with Social Security, Medicare, the DEA, whomever it is. And they'll say that, your social security number was used in a crime and they're going to come and arrest you and they need payment now. That's certainly one of the most popular ones that we're seeing now. But I'll also say identity theft is still in our top 5, as are romance scams, cryptocurrency investment scams. So, kind of ebbs and flows, but those are some of the constant ones that we hear about on the helpline.
Well, let's talk about romance scams because I know that's one of the issues that is continuing to surface in Michigan anyway. There are others as well, but the romance scams and the job employment scams is another one that we're seeing more and more here in the state of Michigan. Talk about what people need to know about romance scams and how to not become a victim of a fraudulent activity regarding because there's social isolation, older adults particularly. A lot of people, young people, want to be connected. They want someone to talk to, and so romance scams is one way that people can become a victim of fraud.
Yeah, absolutely. We call them romance scams, but I almost feel like we could rebrand it and say,
I agree with you.
friendship scams, right? Friendship
Gives
scams.
romance a bad name, right?
Well, it does, but also we're finding that there are so many victims of these scams that weren't looking for love, right? They weren't on dating sites. They weren't looking for a new relationship. They were just looking for companionship in some sort of capacity. So that could even be you're on a Facebook group for, old 1970 cars, and all of a sudden you just start a conversation with someone. You're on Words with Friends and you're playing with strangers, and all of a sudden you start having a conversation with someone. So, and why I say that is because I'll go out and talk to groups and I'll bring up romance scams, and half the audience you can just see shut down because they're like, one, I'm in a relationship. I'm married for 50 years. I'm not looking for love. And I have to tell them that you wouldn't believe how many spouses I've talked to on the helpline that's partner is involved in one of these scams. So really how it happens is anywhere you are on the internet, so is a criminal. Right. And they're looking to find a way to manipulate you, brainwash you, get you under the ether so they can eventually get your money. Again, as I said, that could be a Facebook group. It could be on social media. It can be on dating apps. It can be anywhere. So the thing you need to watch out for is kind of this newfound flirtation. And trust me, flirting feels good, right? Someone paying attention to you, regardless if it's your husband or someone winks at you, whatever it is. And that is what they do, and it gets you in. And let's just say these criminals, they study. They know how to manipulate and get their victims, whether male, female, whatever. They will go and learn about you and figure out what your Achilles heel is. So my bottom line with these are, if you're ever online and someone you don't know, and I mean you don't know as they've never sat next to you, you've never physically put your hand on their shoulder, is overly flirtatious with you, is telling you a sad sob story, is asking you for money or personal information, 100% stop. It is not worth the risk. Stop, because most likely it's a romance scammer.
How can people protect themselves? What's the best that you could give our listening audience? 1, 2, or 3 things they can do to make certain that they can reduce the possibility of becoming a victim of fraud. What would you suggest?
Well, especially with romance scams or new friendship scams, first and foremost, just have the awareness. Like I said, anytime you're online and wherever you are, don't assume it's safe, and just know that there's probably a criminal there as well. We've even seen these on LinkedIn, right? We've seen these everywhere. Know that. Know the number one red flag is it comes out of the blue. There is some sort of crisis and they're asking you for money.
Mhm.
And the money that they're asking you for usually is asked for in the form of a prepaid gift card. Those gift cards you see hanging at your grocery store, especially, you've seen them at your drugstore, your big box stores, they're everywhere and they're easily accessible. Cryptocurrency ATM machines. So this is kind of a new one in the last 3 years where criminals are requesting money this way. And people say, I've never seen a crypto ATM machine. Yes, you have. They are at your grocery store, your gas station, your liquor store, wherever. They're directing you to these ATM machines, having you to deposit the money, goes into their crypto wallet, the money is gone. They're asking for cash, they're asking for Venmo, Cash App, and Zelle. And lately, we've been hearing an increase of them asking for payment or for this need in gold. I think gold is actually pretty heavy, so I don't know how it's happening, but we've had a lot of people lose their money in gold. So those are kind of the things to look out for, because right now there's probably 230 classified scams out there. But I always tell people, if you just listen for the ask, listen for those cues, an emergency comes out of the blue, money, flirtation, whatever it is, those little triggers should cause you to step back, take a deep breath, and think about the situation, and then call a friend or call us on the helpline, and we'll be able to guide and assist you.
And we'll put that helpline number right up on the screen for people to be able to access that and just keep it handy. That's why you have 150 people there waiting to help and to assist. How do people find out if it is legitimate or not legitimate? I mean, what's the best? I know you've given us some tools, some tips in terms of what to look for. The ask is so important, where they're asking you for the immediacy of the situation, that they need something right now. But how do you know if something really is legitimate? Then what should you notice?
Especially again when it comes to romance scams, if you have to ask yourself, is this legitimate? It's not.
Good point.
Right? Like, one of the things that we really do not do is we don't listen to our gut and our intuition. And that is actually a biological science fact of our body trying to tell us to slow down. But we try to supersede it with our logical thinking. But that's not how criminals work. Criminals want to get you into that emotional ether. They want to get you out of the logic thinking. So if you have that gut feeling, if you say, this doesn't seem right, this person is asking for money, they never want to meet, they keep making promises and they're not being kept. Stop. 100% it's a scam, and move on. And I don't mean to be rude when I say this, but if you're in a new relationship and they're asking you for money, I mean, no offense, even if you met them in person, it's time to move on.
Excellent point. Regardless of whether it's in person or online, if that's the way that they're courting you, then that's a bad sign,
It's a
right?
bad sign.
That's a bad sign. Another question regarding the emotional impact that this has on people. That's what breaks my heart. People think they've done something wrong. I mean, I think it's like one person is victimized out of every, was it 4 minutes or 3 minutes or something? Someone's victimized. I don't remember the exact number. So folks aren't alone when they become a victim of fraud, but they feel like they don't want to speak up. They don't want to share the information. And that's where the strength and the power comes, is in sharing that information. So the emotional and the financial toll that it takes. Speak to that, would you please?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said earlier, victims of financial crimes are no different than victims of property crimes or any other crimes. The difference is how we in society treat them. I use a story. It's not a great one, but let's say I'm walking down the street and I have $12,000 in my purse to give to a local charity, and I'm robbed. What would the response be from my community? Oh my gosh, let's get Amy dinner. Let's sleep at her house tonight. Let's set her up a GoFundMe account. We're doing a meal train, hugs, kisses. It's not your fault. Same $12,000 was lost to a criminal over the phone. Oh God, Amy's losing it. I thought she was smart. She went to college. She has her master's degree. What's going on? Do we need to think about a conservatorship? It would never happen to me. I don't know how it happened to her, right? So that response, and it's everywhere. It permeates everywhere. It's in our media. It's in our comments. Read a comment blog or whatever you call it, comment section on an article about fraud victims. People are relentlessly blaming these victims. And that's what needs to change. And AARP is doing a significant campaign to get this to change, to help people understand that how we treat victims of these crimes matters, because the more people coming forward and sharing their story, then the more we know what was lost. Last year in 2023, the FTC said that $1.1 billion was lost in romance scams. $1.1 billion in romance scams. I guarantee you multiply that number by 10 or 20 for those unreported, and that's the amount of money that is being lost to the scam. And that's insane, in my opinion. That amount of money is being stolen out of our economies. We need to talk more about this.
That's mind blowing when you think of the amount of money that's lost. That's incredible. We had a volunteer, Jim DeLine, who became a victim of fraud, and what he did was actually become now one of our on our speakers bureau, talking about fraud to other people throughout the entire state. So he's not going to let that one incident change his life, but he's going to make certain that it helps improve the lives of others, and they don't also become a victim. So we encourage people to speak out, and when they do that, when people think that they have been victimized by fraud, what should they do? Where do they go? Do they call? Who should they call? Should they let someone know? What would you advise them to do?
First, stop any communication, right? I have a lot of people who are like, oh no, I'm going to keep communicating with them so the cops can maybe catch them. Nope, stop communicating with that criminal whatsoever, and then report it. And there's people will say where to report it. I honestly don't really care where you report it as long as you report it. If you're more comfortable with your local law enforcement, call them up. If you're comfortable with your attorney general's office, your local FBI, you can call us on the Fraud Watch Network helpline. We'll direct you. You can call ICE, or you can go to ic3.gov. That's the Internet Crime Complaint Center that the FBI manages, but you need to report it. And then you need to shut down your accounts, right? Call your bank, call your credit card companies, any place that this criminal had access to. But first and foremost, stop communication. Second, report it.
And so when folks have been victimized by fraud, and what makes them a target? What makes someone choose Paula Cunningham and go after Paula? What's on my account? What's on my Facebook page? What is it that attracts them to someone to try to go after their finances, or to romance them and go? Either way, they're trying to go after their money. No matter how they get there, they're trying to go after their money. So what makes them more susceptible to fraudsters?
I think there's a couple of reasons, there's a couple of things, but first and foremost, that you're there, right? That you're there and you're engaging in that conversation with that stranger, with that person. Also, I think sometimes when we try to logic our way out of these things, it's more difficult because, again, they're using emotion and we're using logic, and not taking that breath, not stepping away, not asking a friend. And it's very difficult because a lot of us are not in touch with our emotions. But when it comes to kind of the practical tools, create barriers, right? Shut down your Facebook page. Go through your privacy settings today and make sure that nobody except the people that you've given permission to can look at your page, right? Do you have a credit freeze? Check your credit report, put a credit freeze on it. Are you picking up your phone to unknown phone numbers, right? Do you have a call blocking app? Just like we do with our houses, we have dogs, we have alarms, we lock our doors, we have fences. We need to do that with our financial lives as well, and put those same kind of, barriers and protections around our financial health.
I love that. That's a great analogy. Just you protect your home, you lock the door when you go out, you protect your car, so protect your finances and what you do on social media. And social media can be fine and it's fun, but just make certain if you're using it that you're protecting yourself as well. Is there a website that people can go to that you would suggest? If so, we can put it on the screen, but is there a website that people can go to find out more information about the kinds of frauds that are going on? I know that the AARP had like a zip code. You can plug in your zip code or plug in some information to find out what's happening. Can you address that, please?
Absolutely. AARP.org/Fraud Watch Network. There you can see our fraud resource center. You can look at our scam tracking map. You can even look at our Perfect Scam, our award-winning podcast, and you can find information about the helpline. That's the best place to start to find out all the information about the frauds and scams and what AARP has to offer.
Amy, we just adore you. We appreciate you and all that you've done. And folks, please don't be afraid to speak up, speak out, and make certain that you report the fraudulent activity, a lot of times you think, well, nothing's going to happen, but the more information that our law enforcement people have, the more able they are to track this and to also just notify other folks that these the fraud activity is going on in your neighborhood or in your county or in your community. So be sure to report it, and do not be ashamed. Speak out and let someone know. Right, Amy?
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself.
Well, I've learned from you over the years, and I've still been a victim of fraud once or twice. So, yeah, it happens. So, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for your dedication, and I'm so glad that you're part of the AARP family. And thank you all for watching AARP Real Possibilities. You may not have heard about MPART Alliance, Michigan State University MPART Alliance, but you want to learn what they're doing. And to talk about that, we have Claire Lutz. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Paula, for this opportunity. MPART Alliance, our main mission is to help Michigan build an infrastructure to support the direct care workforce and address the severe shortage of direct care workers that we have.
I love it.
And we do this in a number of ways. We work closely with partners, hundreds of partners across the entire state, partners within state government and allies across the state. We have several buckets of strategies that we use. One of them is around, of course, advocating for higher wages and benefits. One is around professionalizing this workforce. And we've made some real progress here. And one thing we've done is help to establish 14 state-wide competencies for direct care workers, standardized direct care worker competencies. Create credentials for direct care workers that are not certified nursing assistants. We have developed 14 policy recommendations for legislators that we would like to tell them about and work with them on. And a number of other things, career success models and so forth. And I would like to say that all of these things are connected. They have to be addressed simultaneously. We can't have a Band-Aid approach with a little training here, a little higher wages there. We need statewide leadership and a coordinated statewide plan that's very strategic. And I'm happy to say that I think we have that now, and we're doing some exciting stuff in Michigan, and really we're garnering national attention. So we should be proud of what we're doing here in Michigan.
Thank you so much, MSU MPART Alliance, for all that you're doing. Thanks for being with us.
CATA's regional mobility solutions can help seniors seize the day. Hear what our riders and community leaders have to say about the value CATA brings to the lives of aging adults.
My name is Barbara J. Robertson. I've been riding CATA ever since 1988. Basically, it's for going to the doctors in the grocery store, and if I have to go to places of church or something like that. Usually, I try to come on first Sunday because that's communion on first Sunday, and I ride Spectran to come here for that. I take it with my goddaughter, so me and her boyfriend, we ride to Walmart together, or we go to Meyer in East Lansing when she goes to the doctors and stuff like that. And I have other people, I have friends in the building that takes CATA. I'm glad they got Spectran because a lot of people don't drive. They can't drive like me. Spectran is the only way I can get around, basically. I have friends and family that do have cars, but I depend on more on CATA. I know a lot of Spectran drivers. They've been knowing me for years, and I mean, I love it. This young man here, he was really patient, really nice, and everything. Yeah, it would be very, very frustrating without CATA, because, I mean, if we didn't have CATA, you know, the people that needs CATA, they would be in really bad shape because it's, you know, how can we get around without CATA? It's really helpful to the community. It helps the elderly. It helps the handicapped people and the blind people, disabled. So it's really helpful because it helps me, and I'm disabled myself. It's very convenient. If you don't have a ride, call CATA.
If there was no CATA, we would have a very big problem because we both have physical disabilities, so we can't walk like really long distances.
If we didn't have CATA, I don't know what we would do.
Hello, I'm here to talk to you about gout. Gout is a painful inflammatory condition that is caused by the buildup of uric acid crystals in the joints. The hallmark symptom of gout is a sudden, severe joint pain that is often described as a throbbing sensation. The pain typically starts at night and reaches its peak within a few hours. The affected joint becomes tender, swollen, and very sensitive to touch or movement. Gout typically affects the big toe. However, it can also affect other joints such as your wrists, your ankles, your knees. It's important with proper management to prevent recurrent attacks. Treatment of gout focuses on managing acute flares and preventing recurring attacks. During acute flares, medications such as NSAIDs, ibuprofen, indomethacin can be used to reduce pain and inflammation. Colchicine, it's another anti-inflammatory medication that can be used to relieve symptoms during acute flares. There are certain lifestyle changes that can prevent recurring gout attacks. Avoiding purine-rich foods such as red meat, seafood, or alcohol, maintaining a healthy weight, exercising regularly, and hydrating adequately. For people who have recurrent attacks, it's important to start a therapy that will decrease uric acid in the blood. Allopurinol is a medication that is typically used for that purpose. If you have any questions, contact your primary care provider or ask for a referral to a rheumatologist near you.
Do you own a cottage or some property that you really want to protect? David, how do we do that? And if you're an older adult, I mean, there's only a certain amount of time you can really enjoy a cottage.
That's right. That's right. Well, there's a life cycle to cottages, okay? And it's a tragic life cycle way too often. See, when you're a little kid, the cottage is magic. Right. Oh, can't wait to go to the cottage. You learn to swim, you learn to fish, that kind of thing. When you're a teenager,
I don't want to go to the cottage.
Yeah, grandma smells funny. Yeah. I don't want to go, right? But you're too cool. When you're a young adult, you don't need the cottage. You've got other things going, okay? But when you have your own kids, a little bit later on, oh, what happened to grandma's cottage? Oh, we sold it back when you were looking to pay the rent or something like this, you see? So all too often, what we have are memories of the cool cottage that used to be, but we've got to get through that young adult phase, okay? Right. When you do an estate plan properly, you get through that phase. You prohibit people just selling off. You've got to have everybody, unanimity, everybody's got to agree on that. And what we found is when you plan for that, number one, you don't lose the cottage to the nursing home, which is routine. It's where the family farm is going as well. But number one, we don't lose the cottage, and we preserve it for that next generation. So it can be as magical for your great-grandkids as it was for your own kids.
I love it. What a great story. People never think about that. So hopefully that's news you can use. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Amy gave us some wonderful information. Hopefully you'll share that information with others. And please speak up if you become a victim of fraud, and make certain that you share the information you received today with others. Thanks for watching Real Possibilities.
When you're a military veteran with over 4,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. You'll find a one-stop shop for free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts. Visit aarp.org/veterans today.